Today we're going to walk through a simple presentation process. We're going to move from exploring the data to designing the slides and then finally a presentation, including the words that were used for the presentation. So very quickly, I'll run through the summary of this chapter. First, the book is trying to emphasize that during the exploratory phase, when you're exploring data, you don't necessarily have to care how the graphs look. In this case, your task is to find the insights, and whichever way you're going to find those insights, it doesn't really matter. So that's the exploratory phase. And here we have an example of an exploratory graph. So here the analyst is trying to understand how many skip days do users of an app record, and it's broken into the control and the treatment, where the control receives no sort of notification to use the app to record their meals, while the treatment receives some sort of notification. But the point here is you see how this graph looks. Upon refining it, having gotten all the data that she wants to get out of it, you then see that she is able to come into this slide and show certain insights she has been able to pull from the data, but everything still feels rough. It still feels quite unexplainable in an easy way to an audience. And look at this prompt here. Imagine you receive a slide like this. How would you feel? It takes a lot of mental effort to decipher. So while this is good as an exploratory slide, it doesn't meet the bar for an explanatory slide, which is when we present this to the audience. So when you want to communicate the data to the audience, you need to think about how best this material can be presented for it to make sense to the audience and also for them to follow along. So here again, you can see there's a lot of detail on this slide, but notice the change. In this graph, she has highlighted the data she wants to focus on, which is good in a way to direct your audience, like we've spoken about previously. But it's not enough because there's still too much information being shown to your audience. So, like you said, while this slide is more digestible than the original attempt, it's still intimidating. Very true. So, how do you then design your visuals for better explanation to your audience? This is what I'll cover in the next video. But to recap what we've said in this one, it's important that you recognize that while you are pulling the insights from your data, it doesn't really matter how the graph looks. It is for your eyes only. So you can use whatever means to extract insights. However it looks ugly, not so explainable, it's fine because you are the one dealing with that data. You're trying to figure out what is the most important thing to show to an audience in that stage. So in the exploratory phase, it's fine. Your graphs don't have to look pretty. In the next video, we'll move on to the explanatory phase. Thank you for watching.